Hey world, so it's another episode of the KEW Exchange. Today I have my friend Austin Haines, and we are going to talk about his event Flashpoint, which is actually this upcoming weekend. And we wanted to time it right so that it was going into it. Hey Austin, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Michael. First of all, I want to thank you for having me on.
You are very welcome, my friend. It's my honor to have you. So why don't we just get started with go a little bit into Flashpoint, explain a little bit about it so that people understand, and let's just give them a little bit of background.
Thank you for that. As you know, in the work that you do and the messages that you teach through the KEW Exchange is that awareness is a big factor in everything that we do in life. And as we know, the general awareness or the collective awareness is increasing. The one part, or the duality, I should say, of Flashpoint is to bring the awareness to the fact that there is a turnaround moment in everyone's story, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. And preceded by that is usually a pain point. Now, not every pain point turns into a turnaround, and not every turnaround turns into a flashpoint. So turnaround is the moment when someone makes a conscious decision that they want to create something different in their life. And it's usually laced with a lot of confusion because they don't know how, but the feeling is so deep that they're able to move forward in spite of the how. And then the flashpoint moment is really, gosh, it's developing, but it's really this moment of realization, this moment of clarity that, oh my gosh, like where you might reflect back on how far you've come, and you become acutely aware that the change that you sought has come to be realized.
It's interesting, right? Because when me and you talked, like I've had a couple flashpoints, honestly, and I've chose to walk away from a few of them, right? I made a conscious decision that I wasn't ready for it. For me, when I really look at my most recent flashpoint, it was March 5th of last year, the day before I got my kids. That was the beginning of some clarity. And then I went into a 2-month serious depression because I felt like I had the weight of the planet on my shoulders. And I felt like there was no way out, right? Then in about late May, I started coming out of that depression. And when I did, I went to work. And I went to work with guidance of one specific person and then a bunch of people after that. And by doing the work and going through the shit, right? Like I really went through it. I was able to capture that flashpoint and make it magical, right? And I think when I look at Flashpoint and I look at the way that you explain it, like I've seen many times in my life that I've had that pivotal moment that's created clarity for me, yes. But I never followed through, right? I didn't do the work. The difference this time is I did the work, and I'm doing the work daily, right? So I see how it's all shifted and changed. Go a little bit more into what's your core behind Flashpoint? Like where did you come up with this?
I appreciate that question, but I want to honor you for a minute because I like the fact that you brought up that you had these Flashpoint moments, but you weren't ready for them. And I think it's really important, Michael, to tell people that it would be nice if it was like I had my turnaround and then I all of a sudden, and we know that it's not that way. And I just want to honor you for bringing that up because Flashpoint is an incredible journey. It weaves, it bobs, it's all over. But where it became, I like to tell people, I wish I could say, I sat around and I'm this genius and I thought about this, but it wasn't like that. It's not the case. It's something that evolved inside of me and came out because of my journey. It was my journey I started asking questions like, when do you know? When do you know you've made it? When do you know that change has happened? And then this word just came up. It came up to me. I don't know. I wish I could tell you the moment, but it was just a moment where it came up and I started to dig deeper into the word and the concept, and I started to study more. And as I move forward, it just becomes more profound and also simplistic. I know that's paradoxical in what I just said, but it's the truth. I just confused your audience, and everybody's like, "What do you mean it's profound and simplistic? How's that possible?"
Well, if you want me to explain it, right? The profound part for me was seeing my clear path, right? I saw my path. The simplistic part was now it's time to make a move, right? It's time to move forward with it. But even that point, you're still missing that critical part of doing the work, right? Because there's that big gap of I see where I'm going. I have my path. I'm going to take my path. But it's the shit in between that people want to run from. At least for me, that's what I always ran from, right? I never wanted to confront myself. I never wanted to look myself in the mirror and fight that, right? I never wanted that fight.
Yes.
I was scared shitless of myself.
Yes.
Like I didn't want to relive it. I just didn't. I did it once and somehow survived. So I didn't want to go through it again. Like, but looking back, it's what I had to do. It is truly what I had to do. Was to go through it and be able to fight through it. And that is what changed everything for me, right? So it was, for me, I look back and I see it now. But at the time, I didn't see it.
It's interesting. And I can tell you many of my previous, before I got to this point, there were many times I was completely unaware. That's why I opened up with awareness. Because that awareness is so key. And I even think to myself, if I just brought the awareness of Flashpoint to the world, that in and of itself would be a monumental achievement, let alone all the strategies behind it. Because if I can say to you, Michael, there's a Flashpoint moment in your future, and let that sit, you're like, what are you thinking when you hear that?
For me, because of what I've been through and because of the many times I saw it and walked away, it became like, if you said that to me, knowing what I know and what I've been through, I would say, okay, I've got another chance. This time I'm going to capture it, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't always get that second chance. You don't always get that third chance. I've been very fortunate that, as we talked about, I've been through so much in my life. I've, had so many near-death experiences that for me, it was kind of just abundantly clear that I was going to get chances until I accepted it. and not everybody gets that. Not everybody does.
You know what? You're right, Michael. And we're getting into that spiritual area, but I do have a deep beliefs around that. And there is, for me, there's something much greater and much bigger. And I thank you for sharing that, because it is, and I know for me, I didn't get into it, but it's a messy, I know everybody wants to put up a pretty, like they want to show you the pretty thing that's wrapped in a bow, hey, look what we did. But I know for me, it never came wrapped in a bow. It came wrought with frustration, upsetment, and it just took me a long time. That's why my quote for Flashpoint is, I took the long road, but I'm still going to end up on time, and so are you.
And that's important, right? Because people need to understand that it's not as simple as it appears to be, but it's also not as difficult as it appears to be. Because once you commit to yourself and you are willing to go through the shit, that I call it the shit, right? Like people call it darkness, people call it whatever they want to call it, right? They trial by fire. There's numerous names for it. For me, I just call it the shit. I'm just blunt, right? Like that's
that's what it is, really.
Yeah, and for me, once I came to the point that I said, you know what, there's no going back for me. I'm doing this no matter what. Once I hit that point, I haven't looked back since. I've hit speed bumps. I've taken a day. I've taken whatever. but I've never stopped. And now I'm never going to stop, right? Because now I know where I'm at and where I want to go with this. And
Yes.
Flashpoint, do me a favor. Can you re-explain Flashpoint real quick? Just because we had some LinkedIn problem, it wasn't streaming to LinkedIn right away.
Yes.
So I'm just going to go back over that for a minute for those who missed it.
Yes. Welcome, everyone. I'm honored to be on here with Michael and the KEW Exchange here, talking about Flashpoint. Your turnaround story starts here. And basically, Flashpoint is this moment that's in your future as your turnaround evolves. There's a Flashpoint moment. It's a full moment of realization and clarity when your journey makes sense. It's the fulfillment of knowing that the change that you sought has come to fruition. And it comes in all different ways for all different people, but it's an ever evolving process. It's static and it's dynamic in and of its nature. It's like the universe itself. And I always say, and this is what's come to me recently, and I feel very comfortable sharing this on your platform, is if you think about existence, creation, it usually comes in bursts of flash. And that's why I love this concept so much. And I feel like this concept has come through me as opposed to something that I really created. So, and this process is unfolding for me as well. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was trying to get my kids to be a little quieter. I'm not used to doing shows when they're home all the time. Yeah, it is, right? And there's a magic to it also, right? Like, there's something powerful in being willing to go through it, and being willing to fight for yourself, and being willing to take that next step and go forward under any and all circumstances, no matter what it is. There's a magic to that, and there is a power to that about allowing yourself to feel it. And it's a beautiful experience. It really is. Yeah, it sucks at times, but it is beautiful. And nobody wants to feel like crap. Nobody wants to feel the world of their conscience on their shoulders. Nobody wants to relive everything that they've done wrong their whole life, right? Because that's really what you're doing. When you first go through that, for me, right, this is how it worked for me. When I first came into that awakening, eye-opening, whatever you want to call it, state, I had to deal with everything I've done my whole life. It was this enormous, guilt-ridden, emotional swamp of shit. And because I was numb into 41, up till 41, it was a lot of shit to dig through. But there was a beauty in it also.
Yes.
There really is.
It's so true.
Like, the pain sucks, and nobody wants to feel like they're suffocating. Nobody wants to feel like they're drowning. Nobody wants to feel like, they can't breathe. But every day that you work on something, you get a little bit freer. You get a little bit closer. You start feeling a little bit more alive like you never have before. Yes. And when you make that commitment to yourself, it's just a different world. The whole world looks different. Everything.
It does. It becomes beautiful. And the Peter Gabriel song popped in my head, Digging in the Dirt. That song spoke to me, right? Digging in the dirt to find those places we've been hurt, to discover those places we've been hurt. I'll have to pull those lyrics up. But the other thing that I say to myself and I share with my clients and my team is like, the pain is hard, but it's much better than the suffering you've allowed over time. We think that this pseudo world we create and we exist in is somehow better than going with that pain. But as you just eloquently said, that pain, once it's faced, starts to unfold, and it actually starts to become beautiful because there's this purge, and then there's this awakening happening simultaneously. And I know that's what happened to me when I said my life was over, and I believed that to be true. But as I faced it, and I faced myself in numerous moments, there was always this beautiful awareness and awakening that I work hard, or I should say I work hard, but I allow, even to this day in my life, as things come up.
I'm still working on the allowing part. I'm not perfect there yet, and I probably never will be, but I am close, right? Like I'm to the point now where things that would have bothered me even a week ago don't bother me today, right? And that's the thing. When you start taking this journey, it feels like you're going backwards a lot of days,
Oh my God.
but you're really making progress, and you don't notice it until you're on the other side a little bit, right? Like I did trigger and trauma release therapy last year, right? I don't think that's what it's called, but it was a one-on-one and then group. Um, I've got to tell you, it was really funny because she said to me when I first started, she goes, if you want to suffer your whole life, go to a therapist. If you want to get rid of it, let's release this shit and get rid of it. And I've got to tell you, the tools, the tricks, everything that she's taught me has freed me so much. It was one of the most amazing experiences I can imagine, because I live in freedom from those triggers now for the most part. They still come up.
Yes.
They still impact me in ways, but now the difference is as I feel them, I'm able to rework them and reframe them so that they don't control me anymore.
That's it.
You know, there's moments, but now it's moments. I don't carry it into the next day. I don't carry it into the next hour. You know, I've now know how to release it.
Yes. And I think that people think that they should somehow know this, like they should wake up one day and all of a sudden it's resolved and it's solved. But as you know, it's a practice just like anything else. It's like you learned your job, you learned how to lift weights, you learned how to play tennis, you learned how to run, you learned how to dance, you learned to do yoga. It's a practice, and it never stops. And that's the beauty of life, is that it never stops. It's never finished. And you could say, oh my God, it's never finished. I'm frustrated, but oh my God, it's never finished. I get to go back and I get to practice again. I get to feel deeper. I get to allow somehow, some way. And I know that life is going to continue to unfold. And it's like Jim Rohn said, the walls that I keep up to keep out sadness are the same walls that keep out happiness and joy and fulfillment and all the things that we truly want in life.
Well, like, okay, so Sunday nights I've been doing a show with Nancy Barrows, right? And she's on LinkedIn too. She's a friend of mine. She has a very powerful story. But also we do a show called Connected Human Conversations every Sunday night. Last night I was telling her, right, I'm at a point now where I almost look forward to the next kick in the teeth. I almost look forward to the next fight, right? Because whatever it is, it's going to take me to that next level. And I'm not scared of it anymore.
Yes, that's beautiful.
I don't want pain. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to live in the pain, but I know what I feel when I fight through the pain. And I know the clarity that comes from going through it.
Yes.
You know, like Kenny says, the lessons, the learning, there's an excitement about that side of it, right? And here's the really cool thing. Like even today, I showed myself my progress from a week ago, because what would have triggered me today didn't trigger me like it did a week ago. It just didn't.
That's so good, man.
It didn't have the same impact. It didn't control my day.
That's
I was able to go and have an amazing day.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
And in the past, it would have controlled me. It would have crippled me. It would have beat me down. But you know what? I know my value today. I know what I bring to the table today.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't see that, that's not on me.
That's valuable.
It's on them.
And that's so true. And this is why we got to be diligent in our pursuit. And thank you, KD. Life is a continuum of lessons to be learned. Is that there's always going to be people in our lives that are they're going to show up and they're going to want to pull your value down to what they think it should be, or based on their own projection, right? That they're projecting on you. And when you fall into that, you're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting them. Because when you step up and you hold your value, you're teaching them what it looks like, and they may have never seen it before. It's extremely powerful. And it doesn't mean you're tearing them down. It means there might be some discomfort in the short term, but there's an opportunity to elevate in the long term.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because relationships operate in a dynamic, right? So when someone is constantly evolving from who they were, that dynamic is always shifting. And eventually, if the other side doesn't continue to evolve also, then the dynamic gets really lopsided and starts really shifting that spectrum. And that's how people come in and leave your life, right? That's how they enter and leave. And it's not that you want to get rid of people, but you can't carry them either.
No. It's an evolution of us. It's an evolution of you. And you're meant to evolve. And a lot of people, and this is the flashpoints, like there's a lot of people that go through life as a static human when they're in fact very dynamic. And that static could be that thought, that belief, whatever it is, that trauma that you've had. And it's not there to stay, it's there to teach. And I have some pretty extreme cases that I'm dealing with right now. And I don't want to get into too much details, but this person has suffered for a very long time, keeping the pain locked away. And as they start to unlock that pain, there's glimmers of courage. There's glimmers of hope. There's that there's that pain that's turning into that turnaround that leads to that flashpoint. And that's why the work that you're doing is so valuable. And I just want to encourage the listeners to continue with you because it's so valuable what you're doing. It's one of these spaces where, people go, there it is again. But yet it's so valuable to get this, to get conversations like this, to get the authenticity that Michael brings day in and day out is very hard to find. Very hard to find.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about sharing my shit days, right? Like, this is new for me, sharing my good days. I'm great at sharing the shit ones. But now that I'm starting to understand my value, I'm getting better at sharing the good ones.
Good for you.
And it's difficult, right? Because I've never done this before in my life. I have never embraced my value. I have never understood my worth. These are new things for me. These are things that at 42 years old, I am just getting started. Like, this is just my beginning. Like, this is nothing to where I'm going to end up. Like, I'm just getting warmed up. And that's the exciting part.
Yes. Yes. And so is the listener. You're just warming up too, whether you're aware of it or not. And sometimes we're not aware of it. Sometimes we're not aware of what's happening, right, Michael? Sometimes there's some profound work being done and we don't know right away. And I say it this, like a lot of times we're looking at the door of change and we're waiting for it to come, like that change to come barging through, banging a drum in the middle of the day saying, here I am. But oftentimes it creeps in the back door while we're sleeping and we wake up only to realize it's there.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like when that new wave of pain comes and people want to turn around and run, and I've done that my whole life. I always turned around. I always hit a point, then ran. Hit a point, then ran. Hit a point, then ran. The important part that what you're teaching, right, what your flashpoint is really explaining to people is you've got to push through it to find the other side, right? And to really find the value even in the shitstorm, right? It's easy to say, like I had not a great childhood and I had issues and I was a problem child and I started drinking early, doing drugs early, doing all these things. And I made my life very complicated. I made it very painful for myself and anyone that was in it. But what's important is, one, it's never too late to turn it around. And sometimes you need to go through what you need to go through before you're ready to go to the other side, right? Like there's a plan for everything.
Yes.
And I'm done fighting the plan. I'm done waiting and I'm done fighting. I'm just going to do. I'm just being. Like, I'm in a mode now where I am just being and going with the flow of it. I'm just not fighting it and I'm not waiting for it.
Yeah.
So now it's almost like I'm just surfing the waves as they come.
Yes.
And when it's bad, it's bad. When it's great, right? And I'm good now and I could be horrible in 3 hours because something comes up. But at the end of the day, I am where I am and I'm going to keep going.
Yes. And it's like there's a quote that says, when you quit the battle, you win the war. And I think that's true. And I'm a long distance runner. And when I was going through some of my darkest moments, running became this place for me. And I ended up getting into long distance running, but it's such a teacher of life in that there's these painful moments that you go through, but yet you know they're coming. It's like, they're coming, but they teach you so much, and every one of them's different. Like people, oh, it's just running, but it's so simple and it's so profound, and it speaks so much. And and sometimes we sit and we wait, and I know that's like if you sit and wait too long, and I've had some friends do this, life's going to come along. And what I do my best to do is to get out in front of it and just go face it head on. Go face the pain. Go have the difficult conversation. Go look myself in the mirror and be able to look at myself, be assertive with myself from a place of grace. Not let myself off the hook, not beat myself up, but let myself face myself with grace so that I can grab the lesson.
Well, and that's the tough part, right? Like apparently LinkedIn's having streaming problems, so we're rolling with it. It is what it is. So we'll just keep going. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Like is finding grace in the shitstorm. And it's tough. Yes, that's exactly it, DJ. It's challenging though, because who wants to call and ask for anything? Who wants to ask for help? I mean,
no.
I mean, I'm a helper. I don't want to help. I don't want to ask for help. Like, that's just how I've always been. What I've learned through this process is there's so much more strength in asking for help and allowing somebody else to be the helper, that it empowers them to want to move for themselves. And by putting them in a position to help you gives them confidence to want to do it for them. And you're empowering people. Just by being your genuine self, you are empowering people. Whatever trust issues you have, whatever things you're working through, you got to just take those steps.
Yeah. And one of the things I just put out recently was like, bridge the gap between who you are and what you think the world wants you to be. And the closer you can bridge that gap, the more life and everything's going to open up for you. You might lose some people, but the right people will step up, show up, and be in your corner to love you, even when you're at your weakest and down moments.
And there's also a point to be said that I think certain people come and leave, right? They come, certain people leave, but then when the time's right, they'll also find their way back to you.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
If they're not ready, then they're going to get swallowed up by the pressure. So you need to let them leave. You need to allow them to walk away.
Yes.
But also make sure that they know that whenever they're ready, they can come back.
Yes.
And that's important, because I feel like it's easy to get to that place of blame, shaming, and guilting, or that place of self-sabotage, or that place of, well, you didn't want to deal with me then, so why do you want to deal with me now, right? Now that I'm on the other side, you want to be around me. When the reality is you don't know what that person's going through. You don't know what they're going through at the moment, what they're battling, and what they're, hey, Bill, good to see you. And you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their struggles are.
That's true.
So you can't judge somebody for that. And I'm telling you, I'm not good at it. I'm not good at that at all. Because I judge myself. Well, I used to. I'm trying not to judge myself as much anymore. I'm trying to live judgment free, and it's not easy. It goes against everything that I was raised to be. I was raised by a society that said, if you did it wrong, you're wrong, right? Rather than you did it your way, it's a unique way of doing it, and we embrace you for how you do it, right? It was a society that basically said, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It almost felt like there was no coming back from that. And now, what I think, as people have more access to knowledge and information, and they're self-educating, and we have knowledge at our fingertips, it gives the opportunity to allow people to learn in their best way possible for them. And then us as human beings need to understand that people need to learn their way. And we can't judge them for how they're choosing to learn their lessons. These aren't personal hits if they learn their lessons in a specific way for themselves.
Yeah.
It's just where they're at the moment. It's where they're at. And we have to understand and respect that. And we have to honor them enough and honor ourselves enough to let them go.
Yes.
And if they make their way back, then they do.
So true.
And it's not easy. It's not easy to do.
No.
So let's talk a little bit more about your event. I want to go into that a little bit more too. So I know you have an exciting headliner. So I do want you to discuss that and talk about it.
Sure, absolutely. So Flashpoint is a 3-day immersion that we started the first version of it in December of last year. It was in person. And a lot of people were surprised, but I felt the need to bring people together despite what was happening in the world. And what we created was a very special moment in time, very special place and moment in time. And people are still talking about the event today. As a matter of fact, we launched a co-authorship book that's just getting done. It's actually going to be done this week. We're getting it back from the printer. I took 12 people's stories, Flashpoint stories. We put them in the book. And we're getting ready for the second version of the event. And the event is a transformational event. The event is designed to, it's your turnaround story starts here. And that's what it is. It's a powerful, very open, vulnerable place where people show up. I have some content that's we move through, but we do it as a group. We do it as a collective. I basically call myself a glorified facilitator. And it's a very unique space because it is in person. And we also allow people to stream it. So you can be anywhere in the world. And the people that joined us from South Africa, from Canada, from different parts of the world, they said they felt like they were a part of the event, which really hit home for me because that's what we wanted to create.
Is it in person this time too, or no?
Yes, it's in person and it's virtual.
So where is it?
It's in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's right outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Okay. And we are prepping up. We're ready. And by the way, we have a special guest. I think if anybody has seen the movie Rudy, Rudy's the incredible story of a guy who wanted to play for Notre Dame. And he worked 10 years to make that dream a reality. And he played, are you ready? 27 seconds he played in a game. Yes. And then there's a movie. And the movie is incredible. Most people have seen the movie. It's one of the most incredible underdog stories. And I'll just let you know this. I just got off of a call with Rudy, and he was talking to me, and I brought up the movie Rocky, and I said, your story, to me, is better than the Rocky story. And he said he saw Stallone. He was talking to Sly Stallone, and he said that Stallone went up to him when they were talking. He said, I envy you. He's like, you have legacy. You have legacy because, and what he was saying is, in Rudy's story, he lived the story.
Right.
It wasn't a fictitious story. He lived it. Right. And then they made the movie. Where Stallone, Stallone took an Ali story and made it his own and wrote the script for Rocky. Still an incredible story. Still amazing. But Stallone said, this is why I admire you and respect you. This is what he said to Rudy. And so Rudy was, obviously, it means a lot to him to be talking to Stallone. So Rudy's going to be at our event on Friday. We're excited. He's going to be talking about a lot of the stuff. He's going to be talking about how the movie got done. Because I always ask that question. I would say to my friends, hey, the movie's great, but did you ever stop and think that they made a movie about it?
Right.
So there's the actual story behind that. Incredible story about how that happened. So we're going to be getting into those conversations as well with Rudy.
That's awesome. And I know that we have a file that we're working on reformatting to upload to play. So we're still working on that. And hopefully we have that. Hopefully we have that done before this is over. I'm working on it actively. So as soon as that's ready, we'll play the clip.
And Michael, I want to publicly thank you because what is, and I know I tend to cover a lot. I know people are like, well, where are you going? You're over here, you're over there. But I think this is important. We launched a project called the Underdogs Diaries, and you've connected me with some amazing people. I just got off with Rudy, and it looks like he's going to be in the book.
That's amazing. That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, so it's pretty exciting, and obviously we're in the very infant stages. There's got to be stuff discussed. We got to negotiate all that kind of stuff. But I assure you, this happens. We bring this to the world during this time. There's going to be some great stories and some great things that are going to happen. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that.
Sorry, my Sid wanted to make a visit, but she had to do a bathroom break, and my son was showering, so the door was.
Yeah, let your kids come on.
This is great. We're locking bathroom doors. One has to go to the bathroom. These are the struggles of doing lives,
real
right?
Life. It's real life, man.
It is. It's the adventure, right? LinkedIn doesn't work at first, so that nobody gets a notification. This is great. We just live with this, right? Like, you just got to roll with the punches sometimes. The Rudy story, I remember watching that movie. First of all, I can't stand Notre Dame, so I was never a Notre Dame fan. But the story is so enormous, and just to think that somebody had the resilience. His own family didn't think that he'd ever do it. His girlfriend, his best friend, everybody in his life said there's no way you're ever going to do it. All the starters said, stop wasting your time. You're making us look bad. You're working too hard, and he never gave up. Right. And then just when he got promised that he was going to be a part of it, they changed coaches. Right. So then that promise, went out the window.
Yeah.
Until all the seniors stood up and said, give him my slot. Right.
I got chills. Yeah. It's awesome.
And there's a magic to that, because when you are fighting so hard for something and you're doing it with the purest of intent, the universe sets it up to work for you. It really does. When you allow it.
It does. I almost say there's another part of this, and I always say that the universe wants to know you're legit. So I almost feel like the pressure intensifies at the moment of breakthrough.
Always.
And I want the listeners to grab that, because that is where you're being asked, do you really want this? Do you really believe this is who you are? And if it's who you really are and it's in alignment, it will find a way through. And if it's not, it will fold. And you will reset and you will try again, or you will get that alignment that is required to break through. And it is beautiful.
And again, so many times, like I told you, I turned around and ran, right? Like, I didn't want to push through.
I've done that too.
And I was close, and I was so close so many times, and I ran, right?
I've done it too, brother.
What I realize is this time I am willing to run through the brick wall. I will go head first through that wall until I am where I am going. I'm not stopping this time. This time, no matter what tries to derail me, no matter who comes into my life, no matter who tries to slow me down, no matter who wants me to stay in what corner or put me in a box, have me fit a role in their life, those days are over for me.
Yeah.
Those days are done.
Absolutely. And the stuff doesn't change. People think the stuff changes. Like for Elon Musk, the stuff changed. For whoever figure you want to grab, for Steve Jobs, the stuff changed. No, the stuff didn't change.
No.
They changed. And when they did, they changed the stuff.
And that's the key, right? Because there's something to be said for the strength, the resilience, the self-confidence, the self-belief that you have to push through everything.
Yeah.
It is not easy. It is not easy to push forward, and people don't mean to bring other people down. But again, it goes back to that dynamic shifting. When dynamics are shifting, I think people just don't know how to react.
Yeah.
And the first thing is to bring it back to a comfortable place, right? Bring it back to a place where it existed in comfort. So incidentally, people have a way of trying to put you back where you were.
Yes. Oh yeah.
The key is to have so much resolve and so much resilience and have so much self-belief and self-confidence and value within yourself that you're going to push through it no matter what.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, I can honestly say I feel like I'm here. Like, I'm ready to go through whatever it takes. No matter what the obstacle is, no matter what the timeline is, no matter what the circumstantial stuff is, I'm at a point now where I'm not going to stop. It's not going to happen.
Hi, Dada.
Hey, Sid. I'm live. Can you not squawk like a duck? Really? Okay. Where's your iPad?
The bedroom.
In the bedroom?
Yeah.
Why don't you go see if it's charging?
Okay.
Okay, go check. Go check.
Oh, you.
I'm gonna go check. Okay. I can't really go check it. So that's how that one works, right? When you have a 3-year-old, you just gotta you kind of just run with it, like everything else. This is real. So
you absolutely do.
And you know, like this isn't a ego thing. This isn't a I'm gonna take over the world thing. This isn't a pinky in the brain thing. This is real life. This is real struggles. These are real stories. This is how I got here. These are the steps I took to get out of my shitstorm. And I've shared every step of the way of my shitstorm. You know, you want to see what it's like to cry on lives. You want to see what it's like to be a male and cry all over the place. You want to see what it is to go through heartbreak, to go through heart-wrenching gut pain, to go through losing and losses and broken promises and broken expectations and broken all these things that just break, but still keep going forward. Find the person that's sharing all sides of it. Because when you're at the other side, it's easy to look back and say, this is where I'm at. But you got to find the people that are actively doing it, that you want to emulate and that you want to follow and that you want to evolve with.
Yeah.
And that's the key in my mind. That's when you know that you're surrounding yourself with the right people. When they want to pick you up and help carry you across the line, when they want to show you the path, when they want to give you an easier way and fight you a little bit when you're taking the harder way. But at some point, people have to step back and allow you to do your thing because everybody's journey is different. Everybody's path is different.
This is.
And I walked away many times. I ran from it many times. You know. So what else is there to share about this event? Because I really want to highlight the event.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on a second.
Yeah, I can share a couple things too. We're going to have live music, which is awesome. We're going to have live music.
You want her to play the video real quick because the video is ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Kelly, go for it. Let's see what the video looks like.
Hey guys, Rudy Rudiger here, the real Rudy from the movie Rudy. Hey, we're going to be with Flashpoint, and man, this is going to be a heck of a moment. So don't miss it. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share with you a journey of everybody, what we all go through. We're going to learn something from each other in this Flashpoint moment. Thanks, Rudy Rudiger. It's a pretty awesome moment.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that as well, and I'm excited to do it.
You too. Austin, you're the man. Thanks for sharing.
See, and it's funny, right? Because he's not wearing a Notre Dame hat, so I was very happy about that. He did have the 4-leaf clover.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So it's interesting, but I can only imagine what his Flashpoint was like, right? Because he fought for so long. And even when he was promised, it was another fight again. Like, even when it was right in front of him, and he had it right there, it fell apart on him again.
Yeah.
And he still found the strength to push through, to not give up, to stick it out. Yeah. And you know what? It's magic. There's magic to this.
Yes.
That reminds me of The Alchemist. It definitely reminds me of the book The Alchemist.
Yes.
How when you are finally allowing and when you're finally seeing it for what it is, how the universe aligns everything in your favor. It's definitely a magical book. It's one of my favorites, actually.
It's a fantastic book. Fantastic book.
Okay, so there's going to be live music.
Live music, Rudy. I'm going to be going through my program. We're going to honor 12 amazing people that were in the Flashpoint book. We're going to give them awards. And one of my, she's actually a dear friend. She's a client. She does inner peace building, self-love. She's going to be speaking on Saturday as well. It's like one big party. It's like one big self-development party. It's spiritual. It's all of it kind of rolled up into one big thing. And we have a lot of fun, and people have some really great moments like doing this event. There's some really incredible moments that happen. We do a couple things that are very unique that I won't share here, but they really create this dynamic that it's hard to explain, because I'm to the point where I'm not drawing thousands of people. I'm drawing, we'll probably have maybe 20 to 30 in our venue, especially with the situation. And we may have another 20, 30 online. So that gives me the flexibility to do things that you can't do in these bigger venues. And they become very intimate, and it's a really cool thing that we do. So I'm excited to host it. And the fact that we have Rudy here now, and he's very excited. Once we talked, and he's very excited. I think he's going to really enjoy it too. So
it's definitely a magical experience. Do you want to give a little bit more information about the Underdog book that you were talking about? Because that's your next step, right? Maybe somebody has an underdog story. If we are collecting applications right now, we're a ways off before we really get into the project, but really it's called the Underdog's Diaries, Ordinary People, Extraordinary Results. And we are going to have it's a short story form book. I'm working on some people like Rudy. I just talked with him. He's very interested. Vince Papali from the movie Invincible was a walk-on for the Eagles. I interviewed an astronaut a few weeks ago. Incredible underdog story about how he made it to become an astronaut. So we're really going to have some really great people in this book. And I believe that the book could be a really, really valuable thing for a lot of people. I envision it in people's homes, and when they're sitting around, they want to read a quick story. They might be in the bathroom, I don't know, but they're going to grab this and they're going to read these short stories that are going to lift them up, give them incredible inspiration during this time. I love it. I think that's powerful, right? Like, people need that right now. People need that inspirational story because times are so unorthodox or just very unusual, and it's been a very painful time for so many. This was a pivotal time for everyone. People either chose to run through it or run from it, right? Either go within and start really working on yourself, or not, right? And hide and escape. I have a life of escapisms, so I can give you a list.
And you're different now. And what I said, Michael, is that these times they they accelerate people in the direction that they were already going.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, they definitely do, right? Like it's interesting. It really is interesting. It's a matter of, I feel like for me, it was definitely a flashpoint because I completely made a U-turn. I was not headed the direction that I'm going. I was not at all. Not even close. Like, it was a complete U-turn. When it started, I was going down the tubes. Like, I really was just giving up. And now it's more, I'm ready to fight forward for whatever I need. I'm ready to overcome anything to get where I'm going. And nothing is going to get in my way. It's just not. Like, I'm in that zone now. I'm entering that zone where no matter what's going on around me, no matter who's interacting with me, no matter what's coming my way to try and conflict me or throw me off or derail me, it's just not going to happen anymore. You know, I'll have moments. I'll have bad moments, but I'm not turning away from anything I'm moving forward with. It's just not going to happen these days. I'm just done with it. I fought way too hard and way too long, and you know what? I enter a new shitstorm that I didn't know about. I enter a new shit series of events that I didn't understand. I'm ready to take them on too. I'm not giving up. Like, I feel the magic that I've already started feeling. And I feel like I have so much left to go that it can only get better from here. And I'm looking forward to it. I really am in every way. So it's an exciting journey. It is so worth it in every way. I don't care how much pain comes from it. I don't care how much pain you're under. I don't care how suffocating it feels, what the quicksand feels like, or how much you feel like you don't have an opportunity or you can't overcome it. I promise you, you have the strength to overcome it. You have that inner strength, and there is people around you that will help you. And you can reach out to me and I'll help you. Like, I have no problem helping people that want to do the right thing and that want to do it for themselves for the right reasons, right? Like,
Yes.
That's the thing. Like, if your intent is aligned, I have no issue whatsoever. I'll go out of my way to the end of the world to help somebody.
Yes, you absolutely. And you've already helped me, so I appreciate everything you've done.
Well, and you're welcome, right? So, is there anything else you wanted to go over real quick, because we're coming up on the end now? It's almost an hour already.
I know, it's amazing. I want to thank you for this platform that you've created, the KEW Exchange, and the work that you're doing. And I really want to speak to the one person who wants a turnaround in their life. There's one person that wants things to turn around. You know it, you feel it. You may not know exactly how, and you might be in the middle of maybe like what Michael was talking about, feeling that, do I run? Do I stay? What do I do? Well, we want to help you facilitate your turnaround story, so you can create that flashpoint moment. And I want to encourage you, there is a flashpoint moment in your future, whether you're aware of it or not. And that's what we're bringing to the world. And I want people to feel that. I want people to experience that, which is rooted in their full potential, which is rooted in their, what I say, their God-given ability, or their universal expression. The divine has put an imprint on your soul that must be expressed, and it's only your ability to wake up to it. And we want that for you. And that's what we're working on, Michael. So I want to invite people to connect with the event and move forward.
100%. And what we'll do is we'll go back on the post and put the link to the event as well. Or maybe you can go comment on the post because I tagged you. So maybe just put the link to the event on the.
I will.
Yeah.
I will do it. Yes, please. Yes.
We had that issue with the LinkedIn Live at first, so it created a little bit of an issue for who's watching it live.
But we're here. We're here.
We're here. We're still going. So
we're moving forward.
That's all we can do. It will all work out. I have no worries. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. Have an amazing evening, and I'll see you tomorrow midday, I guess. I don't even know what time it is tomorrow. I think 11 a.m. is Central. But yeah, have a great night, everybody. Austin, thank you so much. And I appreciate it. I appreciate it in your time. So have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye, everyone.